Yeah, I'll send you the link to a video after the show. I'm disappointed that you don't know that.
No, you know what? Since moving into our new house, my collection's not even set up, Chris. That's how disorganized this household is at the moment. But once everything's done and sorted, NBA will be on the TV nonstop.
Well, let me tell you about myself, mate. Let me tell you about what I collect. My collection is pretty well wrestling only. I do have a few other bits and pieces, and there's a lot of things I really like, and I'm looking at bringing in as well. I have a complete Hasbro collection. I have a near complete Defining Moments collection, a complete Masters of the Universe WWE collection, and all the trimmings. I've got the yellow Hasbro ring, the blue one, the flags that go with it, all the rest of the bits and pieces, the bagged mail away Hogan. Still yet to find a bagged Undertaker mail away. That's on the grail list, but I may have to sell a kidney to be able to afford that one. But that's what I collect. I also have a pretty good collection of Australian football sports cards. The values of those are not as high as NBA cards, but it just gives me a bit of joy collecting them. I used to collect them as a kid. I used to save my lunch money from buying. My parents would give me $5. Say, go and buy your lunch. And I would not buy lunch for the whole day, wait till I was walking home from school, get a couple of packets of footy cards. And even if they were all doubles, it would still be better than having lunch. So did that for about 3 years.
Starve yourself for the glory. No, I don't blame you. I would have done the same thing. Well, that sounds like a very substantial collection, mate. But it's there's nothing greater than opening up a pack of trading cards, hey?
I love it. I still love it. I recently bought some AFL Prestige cards, which were $140 a box. And you can see why people are using cards as an investment, because I was trying to collect the cards for the team I go for. I hit nothing. I hit none of those cards, but I did have some big hits. After selling the hits I got out of the box, I think I made about $280 profit off the box.
There you go.
So you can just see people are just all over it now. They're like, well, hang on, that's a pretty good investment. And the demand, if you're lucky enough to hit high-end cards that are low numbered, the demand is so good that people are just flipping them over really quickly.
Yeah. So going back to something you said earlier in the episode, Chris, was about investment. I look at it both ways. I look at it from a collector's point of view and an investment point of view. Always do. So anything I'm passionate about, i.e. Hasbro's and the prototypes, I don't look at them to buy as investments, even though I know they'll keep going up, and even though I know that they will sell for more than what I paid. Obviously, timing's everything. But then there's other stuff that I would buy, i.e. basketball cards or memorabilia or other toy lines that don't really, tickle that nostalgic feels for me. I'd buy them knowing that they one day will go up and you resell them, right? So I think in the world we live in now, and especially since COVID, investing has become a huge part in the pop culture game, right? So it's important, in my opinion, to look at both angles.
Well, it's helping keep values high.
Yeah, it is, absolutely. And I think if we keep going into lockdown, currently here in New South Wales, in Sydney, we're going into a 2-week lockdown. So that's a bit bad timing as it's school holidays here, but it's just not good. But who knows? Who knows what that will do for the hobby once again?
Pretty sure WA will be in lockdown soon enough as well, after some of your naughty residents or some of our naughty residents have brought your diseases over here to the west.
Crazy times.
Probably by the end of this pod, we'll be in lockdown.
Yeah. Well, enough of that negativity, mate. I've got one question for you in regards to your collection, and I'll answer this as well. Do you have rules when it comes to collecting?
Not really. My rules are get what you want and what you like. Don't. But you have to sort of think it through. So I wouldn't just buy a case of Elites because I think I can sell 3 of them or anything like that. I would only buy the figures that I want for my collection, and usually ones I don't already have. So if I've got someone, let's just say Sid Justice, perfect example. There's an Elite, 79 coming out soon, or 78, 77, I can't remember. Where are we up to?
Yeah.
The Elite, was it 80? We're in the 80s now, 86, 87. I can't even keep up with the Elites at the moment.
It must be 87.
I think we're up to 87. I think I just did 70 by a bit of faux pas. The Sid Justice, I have a really good Sid Justice Elite. I've got a Sid Justice Hasbro. Do I need Sid Justice in ref gear? No, I don't. Will I probably buy it? If I see it on a shelf here, which is unlikely, I will buy it. Yep. But if Go Figure get lots of stock in, I'll go and buy it from them. But will I hunt it hard? No, not at all, because it is I've already got one in my collection. However, the recent Karma figure that came out, don't have a Karma in my collection. Do I want it? Yes. So what did I do? I had to find one overseas, trade it in because I couldn't find one locally.
Yeah.
What about you, mate? You got rules?
Yeah, I do have rules. For me, it's strictly, look, I'll talk to the Hasbro line first. So I'm strictly, the golden era of wrestling for me would be any time in the 80s through to 1994 is my cutoff. So just quickly touching on the Karma figure, I was like, nah, it's outside of my scope. But I just kept looking at it thinking that is a great figure. It looks awesome. It's his first. So I just picked it up the other day through a member of the Figs Down Under community. So that will be joining my collection later in the week. But coming back to the Hasbro line, it's series 1 to 4 only. And I don't collect, and then the elites, the Mattel elites, I only collect anything in that time frame from 80s to 94. That is my cutoff. Same with the Ninja Turtles. I only collect the stuff that was, around those nostalgic feels. So when the movie actually come out, early 90s, late 80s, whatever it may be. But I don't buy everything of everything. Ninja Turtles have got quite a number of toy lines that are producing great product. But I just got to pick one or none. Just pick one, stick to that, and that'll do me. I do have pretty harsh rules when it comes to collecting. I think less is more. I just love the look of a nice, clean, organized collection. I'm not a big fan of the massive messes and bits and pieces of everything. It feels too overwhelming for me. Probably a little bit of OCD, but that's me.
Nice one, mate. You've actually got a very good collection. I'm very jealous of some of your pieces. Used to have a couple of prototypes myself, or one prototype in particular. But when you get a Godfather offer for something, you just can't say no. Yeah. Well, I can't say no.
No,
somebody offers me 3 times what I paid for something. It's very hard to say, well, you know what? Do I really need it? That's the year's school fees for the kids. Why would I not just cash in? So anyone knows what I've got in my collection, if you want it, you Godfather offer me and I'll consider it.
In the wise words of the $1 Million Man, Ted DiBiase, everybody's got a price. Mm-hmm. So one more question about our collections, mate. What would be your prized possession? Not most valuable.
There's one figure. What is probably one of the most valuable. The one figure that I completely... Actually, let's go 2 figures. And they're the same person, same character, but for different reasons. Firstly, my Hasbro Series 1 Hulk Hogan Gorilla Press action. That was the first Hasbro I bought as a kid. Still the same one. The action doesn't work as well as it should, but it's still there. It's still in pretty good condition. The amount of gorilla pressing that figure did in my childhood is off the scale. And that would be probably the most sentimental figure in my collection. Even though I bought Ultimate Warrior at the same time, which is a terrible figure, the Jumper Warrior 1, that Hulk, though, just brings me right back to my childhood. In the blue ring, waving the American flag around. That's what you grew up in Australia, waving an American flag around.
I'm a real American, baby.
I remember seeing that and my nana looking at me and going, what are you crapping on about? My other big prize possession is my in-bag mail-away Hulk Hogan, a figure that never, ever would have been found in Australia. I don't even know if you could send away for them as an Australian citizen. We did get the magazine, but by the time they came out here, it's probably months after the promotion had finished. Yep. And I just love the fact that I've got it. I love the fact that it sits in my collection, that it's one of those figures that you could only get it via mail away. It's different to the other ones, and that it is just an absolute cracker of a figure.
Yeah, great pieces.
How about you?
Great pieces, mate. Mate, for me, I've shared this story many times on the Figs Down Under live stream, soon to be the Wrestling with Figs podcast. For me, it was a lifelong mystery, you could say. So when I first bought when my parents first bought the Series 2 Rowdy Roddy Piper Hasbro, I remember looking at that figure and thinking, this is an awesome figure, loved it. But then looking in the magazine, the picture in the magazine was different to what I had in my hand. So every time I'd go back out to a toy store, Uncle Pete's Toys, Toys R Us, or whatever it may be back then, I'd always look at all the Rowdy Pipers, and they'd be the same one that I had because I wanted to make sure my one wasn't a mistake. But I couldn't work out why they were different from the ones in the magazine, or the one in the magazine. Because no internet, right? Back then, you couldn't Google search, or you couldn't really, as a kid, you couldn't work out what they were displaying. Years later, I worked out that figure in the magazine and the one in the TV commercial, or the video Coliseum video commercial, was a hand-painted prototype. And proud to say, cut a long story short, proud to say I now have that hand-painted prototype Series 2 Rowdy Piper in my collection, and that won't be going anywhere for a very, 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 very long time. That's probably my most...
Does your wife know how much you paid for it?
She does. She does. She might be listening to this podcast, so I've got to be transparent and honest, Chris.
So she knows you only paid $50 for it.
Yeah, that's right. Times a lot. Yeah, look, that would definitely be my prized possession because of the story. You know, that nostalgic story that comes along with it. But if we're choosing two, I've got to say, not my most favorite figure, but I guess it's got some feels to it. My dad was a, God rest his soul, passed away in 2005, but he was a Sergeant Slaughter fan, even through the heyday of going against America. I was just a bit like, wow, Dad's evil. I remember Dad buying me the Series 3 Sergeant Slaughter and really taking note of it. And Dad supported the collection back then. I think that's the way we bonded. He wasn't a toy fan at all. He was a wrestling fan, but we bonded over those toys. He would regularly stop at shops and bring home a random figure, which was awesome. But I remember a couple of years ago, the opportunity to buy a Minton card, graded 90, Sergeant Slaughter no-name error card popped up, and I snapped it up with both hands, and proud to have that on display in not on display. It's actually behind me in one of those boxes, but proud to have that in my collection. So those two, yeah, I think in terms of nostalgic and prized possessions, they have the most meaning.
Nice one, mate. You've got some good stuff there and some good backstory as well to go with it.
Yeah, and look, there's a lot more to share from both Chris and I, and over time we will continue to share, whether it be on socials or on the podcast or on the live streams, whatever it may be. You'll get to know more of our collection as we go forward.
So, talking about the socials, where can you find us?
Alrighty. So, we're everywhere, Chris. Absolutely everywhere. So we'll start with Facebook. So you can find us on Facebook at Wrestling with Figs Podcast, Instagram at Wrestling with Figs Pod, Twitter at with Figs Podcast, YouTube is Wrestling with Figs Podcast, TikTok, yes, we have a TikTok, Chris. We're doing some random dances, and you can find us at Wrestling with Figs Pod. And wherever you see us, we always use the hashtag, the hunt never ends. You know why, Chris?
Because it never ends.
Because it never, ever ends. I think most collectors can vouch for that. Once you feel like you're finished, something always pops up.
I remember saying to my wife when I finished my loose Hasbro collection, well, that's it. Don't have anything else to buy. And then I think not long after that, I counted 81 mock Hasbros in my collection at the peak of its collection, and after telling her that I'd finished. The
trick is never, ever to lie to yourself. Hashtag the hunt never ends. It never, ever ends. Just go with the flow. Have rules in place and go with the flow. Look, quickly, mate, we'll start wrapping it up soon because it's, what is it? We're going for 30 minutes, so which is pretty good. Just quickly, so we do have a sponsor. So in our first official episode, which will be the episode after this, we will be announcing our major sponsor, and I'm really, really excited with this one and humbled, actually. It's one of our leading, I guess, retailers in Australia, based in Melbourne, who are supporting the show, getting behind us. They can see the value in what we do, and we greatly appreciate them. And we will share with.
When I think of Australian toy retailers, I think of this business first.
Yep.
Then maybe Kmart, then Big W, then maybe Target is a third, fourth. But this business is at the top.
100%.
Best customer service and best owner.
Absolutely, he's a collector himself, and he gets it. You know, he gets the community, and it's amazing. And
not just a collector. Have you seen his collection?
I have. Yeah,
it's phenomenal. If you want to see somebody, he has probably got the best collection in Australia.
Yeah, absolutely. Anything else from you, Chris? Any weird or wonderful stories you want to share before we leave?
Just want to let our listeners know you're welcome to join in. Come and be part of the community. Make sure you come in and with the right attitude. We want to see the right people in our group who are